Standing at 6'3", 250 pounds, Derrick James was a problem in high school. After breaking nearly every Ohio running back record in high school, Derrick would receive offers from nearly every Division I school, where he would later commit to Texas to continue playing ball. Derrick would have an amazing individual season in his first year at Texas, finishing with over 1,400 rushing yards and 9 total touchdowns, but Texas as a whole would struggle and finish 5th in the Big 12. With a lot of hard work in the offseason to not only get better as a player, but as a team, Texas was ready for their next season as they opened up as the 23rd rated team in the preseason polls. Despite an amazing freshman year, Derrick wouldn't even be mentioned in any of the preseason Heisman Watch news, and he wanted to show everyone what he truly was about, and it would all start here in our first game against North Texas. Our first carry of the season would come off of a pitch and a read option, and Derrick James would juke out 4 different defenders in one single juke, and we were off to the races all the way to the end zone, and this season started off amazingly. North Texas not being the best opponent in the world, we just wanted to catch a groove in the first game of the season, and we were doing so in the ground game and in the passing game as well, and we were dominating all around, not just Derrick James. Quinn Ewers would take a read option and also get us inside the 5-yard line. And just like that, we were in prime position to get our second touchdown of the game in the first quarter, and Derrick James would easily do so. After mainly being a power back in his freshman season at Texas, Derrick James was able to develop a sick juke move in the offseason as he would show it off all game long against Northern Texas. We were trying to take a 3-touchdown lead, but North Texas' defense was holding very strong on the goal line, and we had to settle for 3 to take a 17-point lead. We would end up playing a terrible second half and getting this game to only 4 points in a differential, and we had to close the game on out, and Derrick James would do so himself as he would take multiple handoffs and break a lot of tackles, 1, 2 right here, and get all the way into the end zone to close this game on out. This victory was not only great for Texas, but it was also great for Derrick James as he would start off the season with the Player of the Game award while maintaining 3 touchdowns and almost 200 yards total in this game. But we couldn't get too cocky because we would be taking on another ranked opponent who sit only 1 rank behind us in the UCLA Bruins. Last game we started off with a touchdown. In this game we are going to start off struggling as we could not get anything going against this front 7 against UCLA. But thankfully Quinn Ewers was having himself a good game as he was throwing dots all over the field, and that would later lead us to a chance at the red zone, but Derrick James would get stuffed and we would have to settle for 3. Looking to bounce back on our second drive, we actually would catch a ball over the middle and take it for around 20 yards, and Derrick James is starting to feel himself a little here. Our coach would try to get us the ball in open fields, not only calling screens but also opening up in the passing game, but we would continue to struggle all throughout this entire game, dropping the ball on a crucial 3rd and 6, and we would have to settle for another 3 to only take a 6-point lead. After a poor offensive first half, we now find ourselves trailing by 8 points in the 3rd quarter here, and Derrick James is starting to open it up, having 2 back-to-back large runs as he picks up multiple first downs. This UCLA defense started to have some problems taking down Derrick James, and we would use their aggressiveness against them in the next play as we would open up a screen call, and this would take us all the way inside the 10-yard line. Our coach would end up pulling us to the sideline, but we would watch our backup running back Keelan Robinson run it in for a 2-yard touchdown and then punch in the 2-point conversion, and this game was all of a sudden tied. Texas's defense would end up getting a stop, and we would have a chance to go ahead and win this game with only 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining. We only did have a timeout, so we had to pass the ball a lot, and Derrick James was helping a lot out the backfield. Once again, our coach would pull us off on the sideline once we got into the red zone, and we would end up scoring again and then getting the ball back on defense, and we would kneel this game on out to take our second victory of the year. Fast forwarding to our next game, we would be in a tie game with only 1 minute remaining, and we need a miracle on offense, and Derrick James would take the game into his own hands once again and have a huge play. After multiple big plays, we were able to run the clock out in this game and let our kicker take an easy field goal, and this would get us all the way to 3-0 on the season, but that is not the end of it as we would be taking on our best opponent yet in our next matchup, the number 13 ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Our freshman season, we would take out Oklahoma by only 3 points, but in this game, we are looking to start off hot as we would already have a touchdown on the first drive of this game. Our second drive of the game would even be better than our first one as we almost break away a huge touchdown run but get shoelace tackle on our way to the outside. But sadly, after the big play, we would end up stalling out and not being able to convert on this first down, and we would have to end up punting the ball back to this Oklahoma offense. Oklahoma's defense would end up clamping us the rest of the first half, and we now trail by 10 in the 3rd quarter, and we need to get something going, but Derrick James would continue to struggle in this matchup. This would be by far the worst offensive performance we would have all season long at Texas, and we could not move the ball at all, now trailing 7-24. With literally no time left, all we could do is get some garbage time yards underneath, and this game was basically on over, and we would have our first loss of the season and even tailing our first under 100-yard game in over a year. Even after the loss to Oklahoma, we wouldn't move too far in the polls and still sit at 14, but we'd be taking on another ranked opponent, the number 16 TCU Horned Frogs. TCU's offense would open up the game with an easy early touchdown, and we are looking to respond back because we know this offensive team can score at will and we need to keep on up, but we would end up fumbling on our second carry of the game, and Derrick James is super frustrated. Luckily, our defense would get off the field with 0 points allowed to the TCU offense, and we would have a very good run to bounce on back, trucking 2 defenders, getting to the outside, and all of a sudden we're in enemy territory. territory. Our offense is starting to snap as we were getting activated in the passing game as well, as we'd find ourselves inside the 10-yard line, and our backup running back, Keelan Robinson, would easily score a touchdown, and this game is tied up at 7 apiece. We wouldn't see the ball back until the third quarter, where we would have our biggest run yet of the day, juking to the outside, and we have a free run to the end zone, and that was probably our prettiest run ever in college football, and Derrick James is definitely starting to look like an elite running back. TCU would respond back with a touchdown and also convert on their 2-point conversion, so now we are trailing by 7 with only a minute remaining in the third quarter. We're looking to have some big plays and put this ball back in the end zone. On a 2nd and 10, we were able to pick around 7 yards up, but on the next play, Quinn Ewers would take a pitch and hold it all the way in, and that would be a bad loss that would later lead to a 4th and 8 try, where Quinn would check it underneath, and we were not able to convert the first down. Ultimately, that would be the end for Texas in this game, as we would never get the ball back to even try again on offense, and we would end with one of our best games of the season with over 200 total yards and even a touchdown. Even after having amazing individual performances, we still wouldn't find ourselves on the Heisman watch as our team continued to struggle, but we would still be ranked number 17, and we would be taking on our 3rd ranked opponent in a row, the Kansas State Wildcats. In an absolute must-win game, we would be playing in a snowstorm, but Derrick James loves this weather, as he would start off on a great catch and break it all the way to the outside, and he already has 44 yards receiving. But after heading to the sideline to take a breather, Quinn Ewers would take a sack on this 2nd and 3, and then on the next play take a back-to-back sack, but this time he would end up fumbling and coughing the rock on up. But our defense would end up getting a stop, and we're looking to score on this drive, and we're going to do so in the passing game despite the snowy storm, and our backup running back would get also involved, as he would take a screen to the outside and score his first touchdown of the season through the air. It almost felt like the first game of the season, where Derrick James was getting anything he wanted through the ground game, and he was also showing off his juking ability once again despite the terrible weather, and he would continue to do so on every single play, and no one could stop his speed, especially on a 250-pound man. Even Quinn Ewers was having one of his best games of the season as well, as he was hitting dots all over the field, and we actually would have great yardage from our wide receiver after the catch here too. That would later lead to Derrick James getting his first touchdown of the game, and we have a 2-possession lead. In the second half of this game, we were performing really well through the passing game, as we would catch the ball during the sideline, juke out 3 defenders, truck one, and we were 1 man away from a huge touchdown. Looking to continue our success through the running game, we would be able to pick up a first down here, but our offense would end up stalling on out as our backup running back came in, and we would have to settle for 3, but good news is we now have a 2-possession lead once again. The rest of the game wasn't as pretty as it was in the first half, as we were just trying to chew the clock on out, as they only had 6 points. We felt very confident in our defense this game. All we wanted to do was burn the clock away and at least leave with a field goal, and that's exactly what we would do with only 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. That last field goal would be enough to secure the victory, and we would actually get our 2nd player of the game of the season, and we would have over 240 total yards and even a touchdown. Despite a win against Kansas State, we would go on to have an awful season, finishing at 7-5 and even coming 6th in the Big 12, which was a downgrade from our freshman year, and we would also get left out the top 5 in the final Heisman watch, and we would only be finishing with less than 100 yards than we did last year. With both of his seasons finishing with 4+ losses at Texas, Derrick James had a lot to think about in this offseason when it came to where he would be playing next. With that being said, Derrick still had a bowl game to play. He would be taking on Vanderbilt, where our offense would actually start off on fire, and Quinn would have a big throw to get us across the 50 on the first play of the game. Texas wouldn't really run the ball this much this game, as we were getting more receptions than we were carries, but this would also benefit us, as we would find a wide receiver wide open down the sideline, and we were already leading this game by 10 in the first quarter. With Vanderbilt responding with a touchdown, our offense would crumble once again like we have all season long, and Quinn would just chuck the ball up, and we would throw an interception, and all of a sudden they have a chance to tie it up or even take the lead. It almost felt like our coach knew that we were thinking about maybe transferring in the offseason, so he was barely giving us the rock. That was only our 2nd carry of the game, but later in the game, we would actually prop open a wide open run after the catch on a good block right here, and we'd be all the way inside the 20 looking to take a 2-possession lead. Finally, our coach would call a play our way, and we would get a screen pass where we would find open grass and get an easy touchdown, and now we lead by 10 points. This game almost feels like it's over. Vanderbilt would once again respond with another touchdown, so we're looking for 7 on this drive, but we would start to struggle late here in the fourth quarter. Quinn Ewers was able to make a big throw that would get us inside the 5-yard line, but we would continue to struggle on the goal line, not being able to punch it in or connect on a pass. We would end up having to settle for 3, where Texas could actually lose this game if Vanderbilt scores a last-second touchdown. And that's exactly what happened. Vanderbilt would end up scoring, hit the extra point, and they now have a 1-point lead, but Quinn would be super clutch, hitting a big throw down the sideline, and we are all of a sudden in field goal range. We would be able to chew out the rest of the clock and hit a field goal with only 9 seconds remaining, and our defense would hold them off enough to get our first ever collegiate bowl win against Vanderbilt. But with Derrick James' only goal making it to the college football championship or winning a Heisman in college, he is so far away from his goals over here at Texas. He has to truly think, is this the place for him in his junior season upcoming next year? If you made it this far in the video, make sure to hit that like and hit that subscribe if you are enjoying these RTG style videos. I just recently hit 2,000 subscribers and I haven't been able to say thank you guys. We just started this channel a little over a month ago and I'm appreciative of all the support lately, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.